and I just wanted to welcome everyone to our first session of our legislative advocacy series. Today, we've got a special guest speaking about voter education and registration, and then we have our host, April, who will be running our meeting. I just wanted to welcome everybody, let you all know that we have a link in the chat that includes some tips for successful meetings. If you are able to click on that and just scan over that, that'll help us out. If you are able to go ahead and mute yourself if you're not already, and then later on in the meeting, we'll have a time for question and answers, and we'll ask people to go ahead and unmute at that time. So a little bit of housekeeping. A recording of this meeting will be sent out along with notes, and then a link to the presentation that'll happen within this next week. That'll have this slide presentation will also have links to all of the resources that we're going to be suggesting as we go along, and we'll also be putting those resources in the chat so you can get them right away. Please keep yourself muted while the presenter is talking and leave questions until the end of the presentation. Colleen, yes, we will be emailing those slides within a week with some notes. Captioning is available by pressing the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And just ask everybody to practice respectful meeting etiquette. If you can go to the next slide, please. I'm really excited to introduce to you April McLeese. Her pronouns, April and I met actually while she was re-registering to vote after she moved to a new home. And she's really passionate about voting and voting rights, and is excited to get as many people, particularly people with disabilities, registered to vote, because it's, as we're going to learn in the presentation, really important for us to all be heard. April transitioned through Shapiro Developmental Center and multiple Scylla homes. She's overcome challenges with self-harm, defiance, and community reintegration. She moved into her current Scylla home in June of 2023. April achieved her GED in under a year and got a dream job at Goodwill. She lives with supportive roommates and staff and is active in her community. And she advocates for less restrictive Scylla homes for all. And I will be turning the meeting over to April, where she's gonna share our agenda and some other things to get ready for our speaker. Next slide, please. And April, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, words to know: suffrage, the right to vote, nonpartisan, not supporting any political party, jurisdiction, a region in which you live, general election, a day to choose the candidate for different offices, primary election happens before the general election to choose which candidate will be on the ballot for general election. Deputy registrar, an official who supports the election office with voter registration and election processes. Polling place, the place you go to cast your vote. Candidate forums, an event where candidates answer questions given to them by community members or organizations. Candidate debate, an event where candidates speak against one another. Next slide. I want to introduce Missy Norman. Her pronouns are she, her. Missy Norman serves as the president of the League of Women's Voters of the Springfield area. Missy has over 200 years of experience in both professional and personal in disability advocacy and legislation advocacy. She believes that every issue needs to be viewed through a disability lens to ensure the inclusivity. Missy believes that everyone deserves equitable access to voting and civic engagement. Now I'm introduce Miss.
Thank you so much, April. And thank you to our hosts today for inviting me. I'm extremely happy to be here and talk about such an important subject. Next slide, please. So, as April mentioned, I am the president of my local League of Women Voters here in Springfield. The League of Women Voters believes in the power of women to create a more perfect democracy. It was started in 1920, just after the 19th Amendment, which is what gave women the right to vote in the United States, was enacted. It was started by leaders in the women's suffrage movement, women who fought for the right of women to be able to vote, whereas previously it was only men who were allowed to vote. And for the last, it's 100 plus years now, it's about 100 and almost 6 years, we've been a nonpartisan, which means we don't support one political party over another. We simply want people to participate in democracy and voting and making their voices heard. We, you know, are grassroots, which means we're, talking to people, just regular old people like we are today. But we also do advocate with, the people in power, the people that we have elected to make sure that they understand where we stand on things. But it's the league believes it's very important that voters play a critical role in our democracy, and that we hope that everyone will use their power as a voter to get out there and make their voice heard. Next slide, please. So who can vote in the state of Illinois? So in the state of Illinois and in the nation, but since we're here in Illinois, that's what I'm going to focus on. You must be a United States citizen. One thing that I've been able to do with League of Women Voters in the last couple of years, it's been really cool, is to go and help people register to vote at what's called a naturalization ceremony, which is where people who come from other countries to become a citizen of the United States, where they finally get their citizenship. So to be able to help people register to vote right as they become a citizen has been very cool. You must be a resident of the jurisdiction at least 30 days prior to the election. And by jurisdiction, what we mean is to be able to vote for the people who represent the area you live in. So every elected official has a jurisdiction that they cover. So, it could be your mayor covers your city. The president covers the whole nation. Your senator covers your whole state, or, your representatives or your state legislators cover a part of the state, could be a few counties. It's the general area you live in. So, that's what, so as long as you live within those there's areas at least 30 days or about 1 month prior to the election, you can vote for those individuals. You must be 18 before the next general election. So our next general election, which is the election where everyone who is on the ballot will be on your ballot, no matter what party they're from, is on Tuesday, November 3rd of this year. So if you or someone you know will be 18 by that date, they can absolutely vote and register to vote. If they will be 18 by November, but are only 17 in March when the primary election, which is where in Illinois, you have to say, I want to vote for Democrats or I want to vote for Republicans, and you get a ballot with just those people on it. That happens, it's actually March 17th this year. 17-year-olds can vote in that primary if they will be 18 by that November date. And if you have a guardian in the state of Illinois, that does not matter. You're still allowed to vote. So keep that in mind. We want everyone to be able to express their views, regardless of your guardianship situation. Next slide, please. Okay. So, how do you register to vote? Um, if you've never registered to vote, you can do in-person registration. You can register by mail, or you can register online, whichever is easiest, most convenient for you. If you're choosing to register in person, there are many, many places you can do that. The Board of Elections office is, it's the state office that is in charge of all elections across the state. They're, the main place that you could register to vote. Most people will register to vote at their local election authority. That could be, in my county, it's at the county building. It's our county clerk's office. That could be different in your county. It would be something you would have to check within the area that you're in. Many state offices now offer voter registration. Particularly now, Illinois has what's called automatic voter registration, where um, if you go to certain state offices, they'll ask you, are you registered to vote? Do you want to, or do you want to opt out? This could be when you go to the Secretary of State's office to get a driver's license or state ID. Could be the Department of Human Services, which is, where rehabilitation services is, or where the public aid office is. The places like that can help you. A deputy registrar could help you. That's something that I actually do through League of Women Voters. We have people through the league that we send a list of people that want to help people register to vote to our election office and say, hey, these people want to help people register to vote. Can they please be deputy registrars? And once they receive that letter from me as the president, that list of people goes in, gets a packet of information and a quick 10-minute training, and then they're able to help people that want to register to vote, whether that be we go to events sometimes where people have a table where people can come up and register to vote. Some people, if their neighbor is new to town and wants to register to vote, we can help them do that, or a friend or family member, Um, or Illinois has same day registration, which means on election day, if you decide, oh, I never registered to vote, but I want to vote in this election, you can go to your polling place, the place where you go to vote, and there will be people there that can assist you in registering to vote that day and getting to vote in that particular election, which I think is a really cool thing that Illinois does. So, next slide, please. Um, in order to vote, or sorry, in order to register to vote, excuse me, you need to have two forms of identification. One has to have your current address. As I said earlier, you have to have lived in your current area for a month prior the uh, to the election. So in registering to vote, you have to have proof of your address. But I've included a link here. This link is actually to my particular county, Sangamon County, but it's a general list of ID information that is applicable statewide. So you can still use this list for your own information. Most people use either their driver's license or state ID as one of their forms of ID. You can use your social security card. You can use a piece of mail that would have your current address on it. You can use a student ID. Um, so many things. And that list right there will give you much more information than I can right now. Also, very important, please remember, if you move, you have to re-register, even if you're already registered to vote. If you move, you need to remember to go to either your election authority or deputy registrar or someone and change your voter registration so that you are now registered to vote in your new area when you move. Um, and this could be, you could move to another state, you could move 3 hours away, you could move a block away. You still need to be able to do that so that your new address is correct on your registration. Um, as I said, you can also register to vote by mail online. You can register to vote by mail, but I particularly want to talk about registering to vote online. I've provided the link here where you can do that. It's a very simple form for you to fill out, if that's easier for you to do, that way, rather than having to go somewhere and do it. Um, and what will happen is once you fill out that form and send it in, within a couple of weeks, you'll get what's called your voter registration card, which is looks like a postcard, and it lists your name, your address, where you go to vote, and the offices that you vote for. So it'll have, what districts or jurisdictions that will be on your ballot, so that you can look up that information and see, okay, who's running for office in um these jurisdictions, excuse me, so that I can be an informed voter. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about actually voting. There are three ways you can do that. One is early voting. Early voting for the upcoming primary election, which I said is on March 17th, begins on Thursday, February 5th, and ends Monday, March 16th, the day before that election. Early voting is when you go to a specified place. Usually it's your election authority's office. In my case, it's at the county building, at my county clerk's office, the people in charge of the elections here in Sangamon County. You can go, they'll have hours during those times. Typically, in the beginning of early voting, the hours are usually regular, like what their regular office hours are. And then as things get closer, they'll start adding, maybe some evening hours or weekend hours. And you can go ahead and cast your votes. You don't have to worry about getting there specifically on election day, in case, you're going to be gone on election day. You can't get off work that day. You could get sick. Anything could happen. So voting early, you can go on a day that's um, easiest for you to go. Um, you can also vote by mail. Voting by mail is also called absentee ballot. So don't let that confuse you. If you hear either vote by mail or absentee ballot, are two those are two words for the same thing. I know that confuses some people. Um, when that happens, you can So what you do is you go to, you can either in person or on the Board of Elections website, there's a form you can fill out and say, hey, I want to vote by mail. And in Illinois, you have two choices actually of you can either say, I want to vote by mail just for this election, or you can say, I always want to vote by mail. If that's easier for you to be able to sit at your kitchen table and take your time and fill out your ballot there, that's perfectly acceptable. Um, once you have filled out your ballot, you can either there in some places, in most places, there are specific ballot drop boxes. They look kind of like a mailbox that you can take your ballot and physically put it in that box. Um, or you can take it to the election authority in person. You can also actually mail it in. Um, just make sure you do have to put postage on it. Although some counties, I know my county, if there's no postage on it, they will still accept it. It depends on your area. So make sure you check on that. And sorry, just lost my train of thought. Um, but yeah, make sure you do check on the postage. And most places, if it's postmarked by the date of the election, you can it's still counted even if it didn't get there on that day. But I still recommend you try to get it in the mail if as early as you can to make sure that it gets there on time and that your vote is counted. And finally, there is polling at your polling place on election day. Your polling place is the place that will be on that card that says this is where you go to vote. In most cases, not most, I guess a lot of cases, it could be a local church, it could be a local school, um, could be so many other places that are open for people to vote on election day. I know there's a couple of apartment buildings near me that they have like a community room that they use for people to be able to vote. And in a lot of cases, there'll be more than one, what's called a precinct, which is your jurisdiction that you live in. So you would take that card with you or just remember what your precinct is or write it down. And when you get there, you can say, I need this precinct. They'll show you to usually a table where there'll be people there to check you in, check your name, and that you're able to vote. They'll give you your ballot, and you go to a private area, like a little, most of the time it looks like a TV tray with sides on it, where you can go and vote. Um, and in some places, it's paper and pen that you use to vote. Some places, there's a machine there that you use to vote. It, again, depends on the area where you are and what equipment that they have there. Um, and also, one thing I really want to make sure that people remember, this is very important. I'm sorry I didn't get this on the slides, but it's very important. If you need assistance with voting, you absolutely have the right to do that. You absolutely have the right to choose who assists you. Um, that could be the only two types of people that you cannot choose to help you vote are your employer, so your boss at work, um, or if you're in a union at work, you cannot be a representative of your union. That's the only two types of people that cannot help you vote. Um, other than that, you can, if you want to bring your mom, your best friend, your spouse, anyone else to help you vote, you absolutely can do that. Um, if you don't want to bring someone with you or don't have anyone you can bring with you, but you still need assistance, you can ask for assistance at the polling place. What will happen then is two of the election judges, which are people who are there to make sure that everything is going correctly and that nobody's trying to do anything wrong, will help you. The reason it's two is because it has to be judges from both of the main political parties. So one will be a Republican, one will be a Democrat, and they both have to be there with you to watch and make sure that no one is telling you how to vote, or by how to vote, I mean telling you who to vote for. They're just there to help you with the process of voting, and they're marking what you're absolutely telling them to do. Um, and the same goes for if you bring someone with you, they can't tell you who you should vote for. They just can help you understand what's on your ballot and mark what you want them to mark. I apologize if you hear some chaos. My cat just decided to run through the room. Um, so that is extremely important to remember that um, you can get assistance if needed. Next slide, please. Okay. So why should we vote? Voting for me as an individual is extremely important. It's the best way that we let the people who are in charge, the people that we've elected to make our voices heard. It's the best way to let them know what is important to us, as a community, as individuals. Um, 1 in 4 people in the United States has a disability. That's a very large number of people. Um, there are about 40 people in this hall right now. So if you think of those 40 people of the whole United States, 10 people would be people with disabilities out of all 40. Um, so think about if everyone who's eligible to vote who has a disability, how much we could get done. There are issues at every level that you need to have your voice heard on. It could be your city, your state, the nation. In your city, it could be things like how the sidewalks are maintained and cleared so that people can get around. At the state level, just in the last few years, we had um, dignity and pay so that people with disabilities can be paid the same as others. Just passed here in Illinois in the last few years. So was at the state level. The national level, things regarding the ADA or Social Security. But also, it's not just for me. Don't think of things as, oh, this is a disability issue. Think of it as every issue affects people with disabilities in some way or another. There's always going to be issues, like I said, like sidewalks affects everybody in the town. Um, Different ways of taxes or other, you know, economic things affect everybody. So, just know that by voting, you're making your voice heard. And as we all know, there should be nothing about us without us, correct? So we want our voices heard. Next slide, please. So how do you learn about the candidates that are on your ballot and that you're going to be voting for? There are several ways you can do that. Vote 411 is a website that was created by the League of Women Voters Education Fund. And on that website, you can go to it and put your address in, and it'll show all the candidates that are going to be on your particular ballot. And you can research them there, talk about, what their views are on different things, or if there's someone that's been an elected official, how they voted on different things. You can find that out. Um, you can also find information about the election itself, what day it's happening and um, things like that. There are some other websites that I've listed there. Those are just a couple. Um, there's so many websites out there. The only thing I will caution you is to make sure that you know who is running those sites, whether they're someone who is trying to make you lean one way or another, or if they truly are nonpartisan, which means they don't lean one way or the other as far as a certain candidate or a certain party, that kind of thing. You want to make sure that you're getting the best information for you that isn't trying to s- persuade you one way or another. You can go to candidate forums and debates, which are where you can hear from the candidates themselves, where they talk about different issues. Sometimes they debate each other on how they disagree on issues. Um, in some cases, you can actually ask questions yourself. In other cases, there are people there who um, will be asking the questions. Sometimes they ask for questions ahead of time that they can add to people or add from people in the community, but a person running the event will ask the question. So it just depends on the event. So keep an eye out for those in your area. And of course, you can get information from the candidates themselves. You can go, most of them have a website or social media. And again, it's coming from them themselves. So make sure you're remembering to look at that just for information about them and maybe not necessarily information about their opponents. You don't, they're going to want to get you to vote for them and not their opponent. So they may say things about their opponent that, isn't necessarily as true as it could be. So you want to make sure if you're looking at candidates information, you're just looking for information about that person themselves. Next slide, please. And that concludes my presentation. I appreciate you all listening to me and letting me be here today, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
We will now have time for questions and answers. If you would like to ask a question, you can put in the Q&A box or raise your hand.
This is Jennifer. I wanted to let you all know that there is a question that came from the chat from Sharon. She asked, what do you do if you're told you can't have someone you choose for assistance?
That's a wonderful question. You let them know that yes, you absolutely can. Um, if you need to ask for a most election polling places don't have like a supervisor, but they will have someone who's been there um, for a long time, who's been a main person who will know, and you can ask to speak to them. Jennifer, I'm actually gonna bring you in here. Do you want to tell the story that you told me
Yeah,
the
I'd
other
be
day?
happy to. My son is 26, and when he turned 18, he was really excited to vote for the first time, and we helped him with all the things that Missy was just talking about, like how to look for credible information and everything. And we printed off a ballot, and he had it all printed, filled out how he wanted it to be. But he wanted somebody to go back with him just to make sure he filled in the right circles. And the first person that we asked said that they didn't think that was possible. But because we knew that it was his legal right, we just were really kind, just said, hey, we do think confirm that. And she did get somebody. I did think they had a supervisor of the polar people, but so she apparently brought somebody that was a little more seasoned and said yes, definitely there was, but they did need a form filled out. So my son went ahead and filled that out, indicated, I think it was me that went back with him. And then I thought that was going to be something we had to do annually, but that was not asked for in the next couple of times when he wanted assistance. So maybe it was still on file. I don't know about that. But since then, he's gotten more confident and goes back by himself. But definitely do ask if somebody tells you it's not possible. There's also, if you have more challenge or pushback, there is a number, and I wish I had it on hand. I think I could try to look that up. If somebody else doesn't have that already, I will look that up. We can put that in the chat too. So that's our personal experience with that.
Yeah, actually, you brought up a couple things I wanted to mention, so thank you. When you do say that you need assistance, there will be a form that you have to sign, that just says, "Hey, I'm someone with a disability. I need assistance," you know. And if you're bringing someone back with you who's not one of the election judges, who's a family member or something like that, they will also have to sign a form. Basically, that just says that they're helping you, that they're not um, going to, tell you how to vote. They're just helping you. Um, so that's all those forms are. And yeah, I agree with Jennifer. I'm not sure if that's usually something that happens every election or if there's a certain date on it, something like that. Okay. I believe I saw another question in the chat.
Yeah, we just had a follow-up question from Sharon, and she asked, "Is there somewhere we can go to get the information to bring just in case this happens?"
Yeah, I would go to the Board of Elections website. And honestly, the easiest way to find that is, the way I found the information is just to search Illinois disability assistance in voting, something along that line, and you should be able to find that pretty quickly. Although we could probably find that information. It's in that link as well, when we send out all the information. Um, So hopefully that helps. But yeah, that's a good idea to have that printed out maybe and take with you, just in case you do get that pushback. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention, I forgot when I was talking about learning about candidates. In most places, in and it varies how quickly you can get this information, but you can go to your election authority's website and put in your address. And that's where you'll find out, as I said, the jurisdictions you live in, but you can also get a sample ballot, it'll look exactly like the one you're gonna get, but it's just a sample, but it'll have the candidates on there that you will be voting for, and you can print that out and use that to look up information, so you know specifically, okay, these are the people I need to look up, so you don't get confused as to, because sometimes you'll see commercials on TV or signs, and they may not be people you're voting for. So you want to make sure you understand and look up the people that you are actually voting for. So I just wanted that. Thank you, Jennifer, for putting that in the chat. Um, there's also, if you go to Equip for Equality, if people are familiar with them, they have a hotline that uh, they put out every election that you can contact if you have issues. And Rio, if you want to put the next slide up, this is my contact information on here, my email address. That feel free if an hour from now or tomorrow come up with a question you're like, oh, I should have asked her that. Feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can as questions come up.
April, do you want to take over?
Yes. We would like to thank you for attending this presentation. Coming up next, our presentations will be informed citizenship, looking up your legislator and current legislation, how to submit a witness slip, crafting an elevator speech, arranging a meeting with the legislator, discussing political issues with civility, how a bill becomes a law at the federal state levels. And these registration links will be sent out in the meeting notes, along with the resources. We will send out the meeting recording slides, resources, and vocabulary words after this session. Next slide. We want to acknowledge and give thanks to the Illinois Council Development of Disabilities for being our sponsor today. Thank you for coming and learning with us.
I also want to thank everybody for coming, and I have included a link for our next session in the chat if you are interested in signing up for that now. And if you are interested in voting and want support in any way, I've included Missy's contact information as well as mine and Rio's, the director of Going Home Coalition, and we would be more than happy to talk with you on the phone. I know April's really excited to help people learn how to register. So if you reach out to me, we'll probably get April in on it so she can get some experience that way, but we'd love to be any support that we can. Thank you for coming. For those who came late, just a reminder, as we said in the beginning, we will be sending out the slides to everybody within the week, including notes, and you'll have links to everything that we shared.